Hello everyone and welcome to another WedNESday. Today we're taking a look at Transformers: The Mystery of Convoy, or as it's known in Japan, and as I'm going to try to pronounce, Tatakae Cho Robot Seimei Tai Transformers Convoy no Nazo. Now what we have here is a 1986 action game. It was originally only released in Japan and it was based on the Transformers property. Me, being a small child at the time, would have loved a Transformers game on the NES. But when we take a look at this game, maybe you'll understand why it didn't really come here. So, let's see. This game was developed by ISCO and was published by Takara, who were the creators of the Diaclone toy line that would be the inspiration for Transformers. So, as I said, this game was originally only released in Japan, but thankfully we now have fans translation from the fine people at Stardust Crusaders, so we can now enjoy the game in English, although enjoy might be a bit of a stretch. So let's hit start. Alright, now for those of you who can sort of translate these sprites and stuff, we're playing Ultra Magnus. So, the game kind of just throws you right in. So already we died. That's okay. So we can move left and right by pressing left and right. We can jump with the A button, and we can shoot with the B. Now these guys are actually too small for us to shoot over. If we press up, nothing happens. But if we hold down, well, if we hold down we get shot. No, if we hold down, we'll transform. Now, if I remember, I mean, it looks like it to me, but is Ultra Magnus, was he a fire truck? Was he some sort of emergency vehicle? I'm trying to remember. But he's who we're playing, and the controls change ever so slightly when we transform. Game over. Didn't take long. So again, the controls are slightly different when we transform. There's no more jumping because now you're a truck, but you can now fire a bomb forward or fire a shot up into the air. So there's our bomb being fired forward, and there's our shots going up in the air. Now, being low to the ground like this has its benefits. It's a little tougher for some of these enemies to shoot us, but then a tank shows up and just runs us over. Alright, so enough just goofing around. Let's actually try to play the game a little bit. As you can see, a lot of our enemies are other Transformers. Like those jets we shoot. Yeah, we hit them once, they turn into a robot, and then they come chasing after us. We don't have that benefit. We get shot once, we're done for. Now, eventually we're going to start getting our power-ups. That's the letter D. And... can we get them? Nope. Some of the power-ups are for points. Some of the power-ups will actually affect the game. Let me see. I think that's just points. Nope. But we'll get power-ups that will give us more shots. We'll get power-ups that will give us extra lives. And there's an R. Alright, so maybe it's time to start letting the cat out of the bag a little bit. Some of these power-ups are letters that spell out a name. That name being Rodimus. So those of you familiar with the Transformers know that Rodimus would eventually become Rodimus Prime and would become the leader of the Transformers, the Autobots rather, after Optimus Prime died in the film. This game sort of serves as a bridge between the end of the original Transformers series, which would eventually go into the Headmasters Transformers series in Japan. Japan never got the Transformers movie, or rather it took, I think, 4 extra years before they got the Transformers movie. So this was sort of their, I guess, transition game. the mystery of Convoy is the mystery of who killed him. Or where he went. We're still on stage 1. So this game kind of pulls a Ghosts and Ghouls on us. If we finish the game, and we don't collect all the letters of Rodimus's name, we get a game over screen that says, hey, go back. Collect all the letters so you can play as Rodimus. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think it's worth it. Although Rodimus does have his own sprite and his own vehicle form. But from what I understand, when you beat the game as Rodimus, you just get a congratulations screen. The ending doesn't change, nothing like that. So, you can see I'm not doing great. And I get the feeling this is going to be most people's experience. Not doing great. The game really is what you kind of see here. I don't even really think it's one of those games where you just got to really put the time into practice. I get the feeling it was something that they threw together over a weekend because they had a license and they wanted to do something with it. So I've been playing this game a bit. I've been trying to get good at it, so at least I could show you a little bit more than nothing. But the furthest I've ever made it on my own is like halfway through the second stage. A lot of it seems to be luck and knowing where and when the enemies are going to spawn. Like one thing is this, I don't even know what you want to call this thing, this little rocket ship here. Like once you shoot it, it doesn't hurt you, even though it's still there. Let's give this one more try. Now, for a lot of my WedNESday games, this might be enough. But this game does have some things I'd like to show off. And let's see if we can get to some of them. So yeah, you see now it's not a threat. Ah, that's good. We are now invincible. So, nothing will hurt us. We're not invincible anymore. When we're invincible, nothing will hurt us. The problem seems to be, though, is that enemies won't drop power-ups if you run into them. And, like, those jets are the important ones to hit. Alright, so we're going to do something I only do really once in a while. And usually I will tell somebody if I'm going to do this, because I'm one of those fools that believes in transparency. So we're going to cheat. Yep, don't tell anyone, but we're going to cheat. We're going to get our Game Genie out of the drawer. We're going to plug it in. So we're going to make ourselves invincible. So give me a second. Alright, let's see if this worked. I don't think there's a lot of games I've cheated like this with. I remember I did it with Super Contra because I wanted to play it on the hardest mode to show the full ending, and that's a rough game. It's a really good game, but it is kind of rough. Let's see. Yep, we are invincible. Even when I'm invincible like this, it's hard to collect all the power-ups needed to play as Rodimus. So, unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get the option to play as him. There are warps in the game too, but I have not been able to get those. on certain stages, I forget which ones, but I think you can shoot down an enemy that's supposed to be Starscream. And if you do, you rescue Bumblebee, and then Bumblebee will teleport you, essentially, forward a stage. So here's our first boss. Kind of looks like the Death Star. And we want to just shoot that glowing spot there. Now, I've looked it up. I think this thing is called a Death Eye. It's sort of like an automated satellite. Like a defensive weapon that the Decepticons set up. I think it made its first appearance in this game, but did show up in some other Transformers media, mostly comics and stuff. So this game kind of does some of the fun, sort of classic things that video games of this time did. That being, we have this property, we're making an action game out of it, but we need like enemies and obstacles and stuff. So what do? And they take like symbology and icons and stuff from the franchise and just say, okay, that's an enemy. And you'll see what I mean fairly shortly, because at some points we're just going to be fighting the Decepticon icon. Alright. And I did mention this a little earlier, that, we don't get our power-ups if we crash into an enemy. We have to shoot them down. Alright, so you thought one Death Eye was bad enough? Now here's two. But if you can get to them, that's kind of the hard part, is getting to them. They're not that bad to take out, especially since you can transform and just fire straight up at them. Alright, so now things have changed up a little bit. Instead of going left to right, we're going up. Now, you want to be careful, because you might think you want to go down, but nope. So, what does that look like to you? Does that look like cassette tape? Looks like cassette tape to me. Now, we can actually jump on that and use it as a platform. Now, it's orange, which makes me think of, I wish I could remember his name, but the Autobot that was a boombox. Soundwave was the Decepticon that was a boombox, but the Autobots had one too. And he was orange. Or at least I think he was orange. Maybe I'm confusing him with the one that was a not a magnifying glass, a microscope. Because that doesn't look like Swoop. But I don't remember if the orange one had any birds. Alright, so remember I told you about the Decepticon symbol? There we go. So that's an endless void beneath us. If we fall down there, it's game over. But we just need to get to this middle platform and shoot it in the glowing, obvious weak spot. We don't have to shoot it a lot either. I think it's just like 3 or 4 times. Oh man, I just remembered something. Well, that's alright, we'll wait for it when we get there. If I remember correctly, there are 10 stages. Most of the stages are really straightforward. Stage 10, not so much. Transforming doesn't feel great. Kind of have to hold down on the directional pad for a little bit. Same thing when you transform back, you have to hold up on the directional pad. And it takes about, I don't know, 2 seconds? 3 seconds? Which is plenty of time for the enemy to get the jump on you. Now, we are invincible, but we can still lose our lives by falling in the pits and stuff. Alright, so what do we have here? Some sort of weird looking spaceship? Well, I'm almost positive that that is the Nemesis. That is the spacecraft that the Decepticons used to chase after the Autobots. Okay. So again, I think that's a good example of, you know, trying to figure out what we're going to use to serve as enemies and bosses and stuff for this game. Alright, we're invincible. This time we're legit invincible. Oh, this is a tough jump. Yeah, that jump got me a few times practicing, because the controls, not the most responsive. But let's see, and I gotta give them credit here though, the stages are not very long. Most of them anyways. And you know, maybe that might sound like false praise, but it's really not. By having these stages be short and challenging, they keep them interesting. Without dragging them along so that they start to get upsetting or tedious. But at the same point, like, this is not really all that well made. And I'm trying, you know, sometimes I try to think, you know, if I'm gonna sit here and call a game bad, and generally, you know what, I'll just say this is not a good game. This is a bad game. What would I do to make it better? What could be done? Well, I would probably say the first thing is that shooting needs to be fixed. It needs to be, I don't know, maybe the pixels for the ammunition need to be a little larger so that they can hit the enemies more accurately. And there should probably not be respawning enemies. Like, once you take out an enemy in a particular area, it doesn't show up again. And I would probably say, one of the biggest things that I think would be a benefit would not being one hit is one kill. Either our Autobot friends here need life bars, or they need to be able to take a certain number of hits, like they have 3 hearts or something like that. The controls need to be more responsive, because I think that's the 3rd time I've died here because the game would not let me jump. And if we run out of lives on this stage, oh boy. So let me tell you, I'm not going through this again. I do want to show off the things that are in this game, but we've been at it for almost 20 minutes as it is, and that's probably more time than this game really deserves. Alright, so, my thoughts. Better hit detection. At the very least for Ultra Magnus's shots. Now maybe that's a matter of making the pixels or the hitbox or whatever a little larger. Maybe it's changing the shape. But something needs to be done. No enemies just spawning in. Alright, so now we have our first fight with a serious Decepticon. So here we have Menacer. Or Menasor? I'm trying to remember. This is a... I'm trying to remember the term. Combiners? Was that what they were called? he was 5 robots that we combine into one, and in his case it was the 5 Stunticons, which were Decepticon land vehicles. Alright. Again, the fight was quick, it was punchy. It really wasn't that hard. The stages are what's hard. And now here we have a stage where we're going down. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's the exact same stage from earlier. Now we're just going down instead of up. Okay, so now that we made it to the bottom, it's another boss fight with another Decepticon logo. Now this one, I don't know, it was easier than the last one. I'm not quite sure why. Okay, we're more than halfway done. We have an ice stage, but I don't think we have ice physics. There is a little inertia. Do we slide? Oh yeah, we slide. Look at us go. Man, I can only imagine how tough this stage must be. Oh, did you see that? Just had a big robot pop out of the ice, take shots at us. That one I cannot recognize, so forgive me. I get the feeling most of these are just like generic robot enemies, but some of them are supposed to be something. And there's Optimus's head for some reason. Alright. And now, who are we fighting now? We are fighting Bruticus. Now, he's another one of those combining robots. And he combined from the Combaticons, which are different military vehicles, like tanks and armored transport, helicopters, jets. So, you know, if nothing else, they gotta, you know, get some credit for picking out good boss enemies. At least for the most part. Like the icons, those are a little silly. And if the Death Eye satellites were made up for this game, well, you know, it was something. They weren't too bad. Okay. I think this is our last symbol. Okay, stage 9. Second to last stage. Now this is where I think it gets funky, and I may need to like step away for a minute to look at a guide, because it does something that, you know, wasn't really all that unheard of back in the NES days. I think Mario had a few stages like this, Zelda had a few stages like this, where you had to find like the right pattern, and that's a 1-up. And if you didn't go through the stage in the right pattern, it would loop back around. Right. You see, I'm being very slow here, because we can get a special bonus? That's a good word for it. If we can take all 3 of these out, this very last one turns into that. I'm trying to remember the name of that, but that was like the company's mascot. Had a weird name. Now, I absolutely do not remember the proper order to take this stage. So I will probably have to look it up unless we done locked. Alright, nope. But we had 65 lives. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pause the game real quick. I'm going to look it up. And we're going to come back. And if necessary, I will cut forward to when we finally get this.
Alright, we pulled it off. And now we get to fight the leader of the Decepticons, Megatron. Oh, no we don't. So you might be thinking, Megatron? Shouldn't he be like the very final boss of the game? And, you know, that's a pretty good thought, but he's not. And I'm gonna say it was an interesting choice, not to make him the ultimate final bad guy. Alright, are we going up? Yep. So now we're on our last stage. I think the previous stage would have been our last chance to spell Rodimus's name. And then we'd either be playing as Rodimus or Ultra Magnus here. To the best of my knowledge, they play exactly the same. The only difference is the sprite. And the message we're going to get. Oh, come on. So I think these vertical levels are a little bit better than the horizontal levels. And there we go. There is our ultimate enemy of the game. I got all tongue-tied. That is Trypticon. Trypticon was like this giant, like really giant, like dinosaur robot. Not the biggest Transformer. Like the really big ones were like Metroplex and stuff like that. Emergency orders. The Decepticons have come back stronger than ever, thanks to a new leader. I mean, rather,
Stronger than ever thanks to a new power. Take Rodimus's Energon Cube and crush the Decepticons. Once again, scramble Ultra Magnus. And we start over. So just like in Ghouls and Ghosts fashion, we gotta start over, we gotta find our goddess bracelet, go back and fight Satan. In this case, Satan is Megatron, which, you know, makes a certain amount of sense. But we're not gonna do that. I tried to find ways around this. Like I said, we got our Game Genie hooked in, so we're playing Invincible. I thought there was a code to play as Rodimus. I could not find it. So, you know, I tried. I do try to put the effort in for you guys. I do want to try to make, you know, videos that show off as much of these games as possible, even the games that I don't really like. But we've been at it for around half an hour now, which is plenty of time. So thank you very much for watching this sort of WedNESday video that became a full playthrough. Alright, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next game. Take care.